Hey Zips fans, Chad Welker here with the Zips Digital Network, bringing you another episode of ZipsCast, brought to you by the Zips Digital Network. Here, along with my assistant Spencer German from volleyball, Alexis Adlita, and we got a trio of football players as Nate Stewart and Maverick Wolfley still are with us. And joining us from Kansas is Zach Leininger. He is a new guy on this Zips roster, and welcome everybody. And I know it's only been a couple days, but how's everybody doing?
Pretty good. Just still hanging out, doing absolutely nothing.
Same here. Nothing's going on much. Same thing as always.
Yeah, me too. Everything's the same.
Yeah, just trying to stay on top of my classes, getting ready for finals week coming up, and a bunch of projects I have. It's a lot of work, but
Zach, we'll go right back to you here as we sort of bring you into the conversation. Let Zips Nation sort of get to know you as a new guy. This is probably a good chance for Zips fans to get to know a little bit more about you, who you are, where you come from, all that stuff. So just tell us a little bit about yourself. What you want people to know about you, and then we'll ask you some questions from there.
all right. So my story is a little interesting. I am from a small town in Kansas, and I was gonna play basketball my entire childhood growing up, and then my senior year of high school, I decided I want to try football, and so I went to a community college, Dodge City Community College in Dodge City, Kansas. And after 2 seasons there, I got an offer to Marshall University. And after going through spring ball there, I got injured maybe like 2 or 3 weeks in. I fractured my foot and needed surgery. And after that surgery, I got a blood clot in my leg, in my left leg, and then had a pulmonary embolism later that, I think, mid-June. I had a pulmonary embolism. I was in the ER, or the ICU, for 9 days. And then after all those circumstances, Marshall University decided it would be best for me to retire from football. And then a couple months down the line, I got word that everything would be good. Like I could play if I wanted to, but I would have to transfer. And then after that, I got that news. I immediately seeked options to transfer, got help through Marshall to do that. So I entered the portal, and luckily, Coach Rodriguez is actually from a town 30 minutes from me, and he knew my JUCO coach, so we had that connection. And I ended up at Akron in January. So pretty crazy stuff, but I'm happy to be playing again, for sure.
Yeah, I was going to sort of ask about your journey transferring in, but you sort of covered that already. So I'll sort of pivot and just ask you more specifically, like with the injury history and some of the I guess adversity you had to face in that regard, and thinking that your playing career was over, just mentally, how'd you work through those things? And then what was the emotional roller coaster like when it was like, hey, you're done, and then a couple months later you find out, hey, you can still play? Just sort of how'd you process all that? How'd you get through those things and those challenges that were sort of presented to you?
Oh man, it was really difficult. Luckily, like I was able to like use Marshall's like weight room and still work out with like the strength coach guys, because I wasn't really like on the team, but I was still like a part of the university. So I was like a coach, but I just helped out. So I was still able to work out and all that. So I was physically ready, but then when I got that news, like, oh, you're clear to play, it was just like, oh wow. So no, like instantly it was like I need to get out. Like I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. It was just like there's a better place for me now. So it was just it was a crazy 2019 for sure. Really high, started really high, ended really low, and then 2020 started really low. I actually got news of, because Marshall played in the bowl game the 23rd of December, and before even knowing I was for sure going to transfer, I packed up all my stuff from my apartment and drove 17 hours home with all my stuff. And then I got news. I don't know. It was like 3 days before Akron started classes that I got news that I could come there. So it was just like a quick turnaround right then, like January, I don't even know, 8th maybe. I got like Coach Rodriguez like finally gave me the okay. Like Coach R said, we want you here. So just a crazy 29 ended with a good start to 2020. So.
Yeah, so my kind of question for you is, I know you mentioned about how you played basketball all through high school. What made you transition to football? And then did you ever have plans of playing basketball through college? And what kind of was that deciding factor for you to play or football rather than basketball?
Well, so yeah, growing up, like I did traveling team, AAU, all that stuff. And football in my town is never really popular. And about like my grade and the grade above me, like really turned it around. We went to like 2 state championships and just like, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna play basketball. Like all my friends play basketball, so that's what I'm gonna do. And then as I got older, and I realized like, oh, I'm a 6'5" dude who isn't really gonna be a guard. Like I can't really play a guard, and I'm too short to be a inside guy. I was like, well, I have a good frame for football. I had 2 good football seasons my junior senior year. I was like, I'll just try football, and so far it's worked out. But that's kind of why I chose it. I mean, just my frame, my skill level was just more towards football, I guess.
So going from, playing basketball and realize, football is a much more taxing sport when it comes to physicality wise. Being that, and then on top of that, going to JUCO right off the bat, and JUCO is significantly different than, being at a Division I program. How did you handle, going from playing, usually being a basketball player and going into college and JUCO? How did you handle, that environment, and, like how cutthroat it is, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I graduated high school, I weighed like 205. And then my freshman year of JUCO, which started in August, they wanted me at 230 to 240. And so like the quick turnaround, like I'd always been eating light, trying to stay light for basketball. It was eat everything you can, gain as much weight as possible by still maintaining athleticism. Like you don't want to let yourself go. So that was probably the hardest thing. And then at JUCO, like they really don't offer, it was just like cafeteria food. Like I lived in a dorm, it was just cafeteria food. That's all they had. They didn't give us supplements or anything like that. So it was all on my own to supply any protein I needed or any extra food that wasn't bean and cheese burritos or peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So and then going to Division I, it's just like yeah, I live off campus now, so I'm able to go to the store and get everything I need. I have a kitchen. Like it's just a big different in that regard. Like just being able to actually take care of your body and all that. I also noticed a big difference with trainers. Like obviously the level of trainers from junior college to Division I is going to be a lot different. But even like just like the little things, like if you roll your ankle, it's going to the junior college guys are going to be like, all right, you're fine. You don't need to tape it or anything. It's like just because they're used to people being like freshmen in high school, like or freshmen in college are going to be somewhat of a wimp. That's how they think. Like they don't think, and you're dumb. You're at a junior college, so you're an idiot. So, and then when you go to Division I, they're like, oh, these guys, they kind of know their bodies. So, and they obviously know a lot more because they're at a higher program as trainers, so they're able to help you a lot more. But that's some of the differences I've found.
Zach,
Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead, Matt. You can go first.
So obviously I'm from West Virginia. I'm a WVU guy and not a big fan of the Thundering Herd. What was your transition like? How has your experience been from Akron or from the Thundering Turds to Akron?
Well, I mean, so both years I came in January, and it was kind of hard going to Marshall because right when I got there, I got word that the tight end coach was leaving for a job at North Carolina. So it was like my only connection there, he's now leaving. And then we finally we got a good coach, but it was like all the way until I think late March, we didn't even have a coach, a tight end coach. So I was like right now we're doing with tight end stuff, we're like actually learning the playbook. I started learning the playbook like 2 days before spring ball at Marshall. So it was just like, how am I supposed to know this? And I was in like a very veteran room with it was like a redshirt senior, redshirt junior, and two redshirt juniors and a redshirt sophomore. So it was like a lot different than our room for sure. But I just came here and I felt like even though I was out for 2 weeks waiting for a test to get back, I was able to like really gel with people here like on a different level. And we do a lot of team oriented stuff. So like at Marshall, it was you're with like your one one weight lift group, and that's basically who you're with all until spring ball starts. And like here we do everything different. So I'm able to like I know everyone on the team in like a month rather than half a semester. So that was a lot better. And I feel like we like just as a tight end room, we're a lot closer than probably a lot of rooms are. We're just all really
Yeah,
good friends, and that's been a good fit. Yeah, I mean, Coach Cook is awesome for that. Like he's kind of helped with that because he's a good coach too. But we just all gel really good. I don't know. It's just been
Yeah.
it's been a good semester so far. I was bummed that the coronavirus happened, but so far it's been good.
Zach, I'm curious, just obviously with all the adversity you've had to face and the stuff you've gone through, what sort of goals are you setting for yourself going into next season? Is it as simple as like, hey, get myself to that point where I'm able to play for a full season, or is it, higher expectations like, hey, I want to do some stuff out on the field each and every game? I mean, I know that stuff's always kind of in your head anyway, like you want to get out and play, but where's your head at in terms of some of the goals that you set for yourself as you work towards, the 2020 season?
Well, yeah, definitely the biggest goal is be able to play. And like I haven't played since 2018, like in a game. But I just got word, and like I was scared transferring FBS to FBS. You're not always eligible. And I got word, I don't know, a week or two ago that I was granted immediate eligibility. So getting on the field was like probably going to happen. So now it's like, what can I do every week to like be a benefit to the team, whether that's on special teams or in the tight end role. Like, I don't know, they're talking a lot about what we can do as tight ends and how we can be a big part of the offense. How we can get into 12 personnel, run the ball, and then like throw the ball as well. So it's just it can do as a tight end, as a leader, as a teammate to make the Akron Zips go better than 0-12. It's just that's what we want to do. Just get some wins and make a bowl game and be great in the conference. But anything I can do to help with that is what I want to do.
Anybody got any other questions for Zach? All right, we'll jump to sort of our fun segment of the show for this week, or for this episode, I should say. Sort of playing off of our conversation we had on Tuesday. I know we talked about the best game you've been to outside of playing that you've seen in person, and then what maybe the best game you played in was. But I'm curious for each of you. You could go back in time, back to the future, like travel back in time and replay 1 year of your athletic career. It can be, in college. I know for some of you, you have a few more years under your belt in college. Some of you maybe only have a couple. But it can be college, it can be high school. What year or season would you choose to go back and replay, and why would you choose that season?
For me, it'd probably be my junior year of high school. I had a surgery for a hernia after my sophomore year, which is probably my best year of football in high school. And I was a little bit overweight and out of shape going into the season. And we beat a team. We beat this team, Brook, 28-14 or something during the regular season. And then we played them during the first round of the playoffs, and they beat us the same exact score. So I was kind of pissed off about that. So we'll just redo that one.
I think for me, I'd say this past year for Akron volleyball, just because we've had so many countless conversations about how in the middle we had a little dip and we could have so much more potential. And I think just by talking about that, it's kind of made me realize that we did have so much more potential than how we actually did, because like I said, we started out super well, had that little dip. And after talking about all the things, if we would have talked about it earlier, I think we would have become way more successful and probably made it farther in the tournament.
For me, I think it would be my sophomore year of college. I would say that because I like watching myself like now when watching like tape from that time, I see like a lot of like deficiencies or like things I should have and could have done better. Just from growing and like learning more. But yeah, I think that'll be that's my like thing.
I would have to be my junior year of high school as well, just like Matt said. We were 2 games away from a state championship game, and we lost 28-27 in triple overtime. One of our kickers, one of my best friends, missed the field goal, and like he was really hard on himself for it. And I mean, obviously that wasn't why we lost. Like, there's other factors in the game, but that season was just I was really good friends with the class above me, like I said, for basketball, and we just had a really good year, and it got cut short because of that game. But that's probably my favorite season for sure, and I would go back and hopefully win a state championship. But
I'm curious for each of you guys, thinking about sort of like going through your careers, whether it be, Zach, obviously you played basketball and then you transitioned to football. Some of you guys are multi-sport athletes in high school as well. Just through all the different mentors and coaches and, leaders that you've been around, what's maybe the best piece of advice that you've gotten from a coach during your career? And it can be at Akron too, but just what's maybe the best thing that you were ever told as a player that you've sort of taken to heart and that's something that you sort of use to emulate or build yourself as a player and as a person? I know I'm putting you guys on the spot.
My one coach at West Virginia, when I was a freshman, or technically I was still a senior in high school, I kind of had a rough start there and didn't really know like how hard it would be. And so I had a quick learning thing, but he always told me, it was some quote he always talked about, like, your teammates are your teammates and stuff, but something about like always keeping going no matter what, for your position, no matter what you do, don't ever stop trying to get better. Everybody else might smile in your face and be friends with you, but everybody else is always trying to take your spot or do something like that. So that's just something that, I don't know, just not necessarily that like I'm like freaking out about my teammates or anything, but it's just something that, makes me want to keep always working hard and stuff. So
for me, it's something my father, he told me when I was young. He always told me to never be afraid of being great and never be afraid of having people uncomfortable for you being great. It's something that like he always said it to me because when I was growing up, not saying that I was like better than anyone else, but it's just like I always worked really, really hard because I always wanted to be good at everything. And so a lot of time where like I in practice or in a game, I'll get like, like too like into it, I guess. And so I'll be screaming, yelling, like if someone's doing something wrong, like I've done it on our sidelines, like I've gotten into arguments. So like he always was telling me to just not never like be afraid to, like kind of wear your heart on your sleeve, if that makes sense. And just having like that emotional part of you, because I feel like it at the end of the day kind of makes you it makes you better. And I feel that if people can see that, like it means that much to someone, I feel like they can find it that it means that much to themselves too. So yeah, that's mine.
I think for me, I mean, it's kind of a cliche saying, but I know in high school I used to have a coach tell me to be confident and believe in yourself. And like I said, like I know that's a cliche saying, but I think that really helped me because throughout high school I didn't really believe in myself. And I remember I had a really hard time with like the recruiting process, and it was super stressful for me. So I think once I remembered that, I started believing in myself, because if you do that, I mean, that's the best thing you can do, because if everyone else is supporting you and saying you can do it, you can't actually get everything done until you do believe in yourself and tell yourself that you can do it, because other people only get you so far. So I think after I heard those words, it was more of a motivation to say, okay, I can do this, and actually end up playing in college. So
Mine's actually like kind of weird, but it's one of my AAU coach. I think he made it up, but it was a closed mouth don't get fed. And I mean, in basketball, you just think like, yeah, you got to call for the ball, you get it. But the same way, like to be a leader, um, not even you don't even always have to use your voice, but just being um, like I don't even know how to say it, but to be like in front, lead by example is a form of feeding yourself and feeding your team. And it's such a weird saying, but it fits in so many ways with anything. Like a closed mouth don't get fed. It just fits in any way you want to look at it.
No, I like that one actually. I think that's kind of, and I'm glad that like you had one that was not that all the others weren't good, but to have one that was sort of just like a off the cuff thing a coach told you, that's pretty sweet. And I get the point of it too. It's pretty cool.
I'm going to hop in here because since we have a trio of football guys today's show, and today is the newest version of the NFL draft. And I think what's also unique about today's show is that I think, and I can only imagine that everyone here is probably loyal to a certain team um, than each other than the other six. So with that in mind, A, who's your team? B, where they're picking, and C, who you hope they get if they can get them, is where I'm going to go with. So whoever wants to start it off, feel free to jump in.
I'll start it off. My team's the Chiefs, of course, being from Kansas. I honestly don't know where they are in the draft. I don't know if they traded up, but
Probably last.
yeah, that's what I would say. But I don't know if they traded up. But if they were to draft anybody, it'd have to be some type of guy on the defense. I mean, their offense is pretty stacked. I think they just traded for a running back. So it's anyone on the defense if they can get them, but it's very unlikely to get someone like a big name late in the first round. But who knows?
For me, I'm originally from Buffalo, so I'm a huge Buffalo Bills fan. I'm part of the Bills Mafia. So for me, I think they're picking early 20s or something in the first round. Oh wait, no, they traded away their first round, so we got Stephon Diggs. Crap. So yeah, they just traded for him. I was gonna say a wide receiver. I was gonna say what's his name, T. Higgins from Clemson or whatever his name is. I was gonna say him, but obviously now we don't have a first round pick, and we traded him. I'd say some guy on probably an offensive lineman. We had a decent line last year, but I mean now that we've got John Brown, Cole Beasley, and Stephon Diggs, I don't really see a problem with our wide receiver core anymore. Just maybe add some depth to the O-line. I have no clue. Or some DB for sure.
I think the Bills got to look at J.K. Dobbins in the second round, pair running back with Singletary.
Yeah, well, there was a rumor that what's his face from New Orleans, Alvin Kamara, they're trading him, and people were saying that the Bills are going to trade for him. So I figure that would be a good one. But yeah, no, I wouldn't have a problem with that either. It's cool with me.
Okay, so I don't really have a favorite NFL team. I'm more of a college football guy, but a team I would say that I kind of like seeing win, but they haven't been, as the Giants. Guy I would like to see them get. I would like for them to get a receiver, kind of like a big play threat kind of guy. I would say someone around the lines like T. Higgins, Jerry Jeudy, one of the Alabama receivers, or even CeeDee Lamb. I think he'd be a really good guy to get, somebody that's a great receiver. Or defensive guy they can use is the guy out of Clemson, Isaiah Simmons. He'd be a great pick.
Alexis, I don't want to leave you out. I was going to say if you have an NFL team and you have somebody in mind that you want them to draft, you can let us know too.
Oh, I mean, I'm not super into that stuff, but my family's from Cincinnati. I live in Cincinnati. I've lived here my entire life. my dad has been screaming Joe Burrow around the house all day. So that's about as far as I know. But I know he's super confident for Joe Burrow in our pick. So
She's actually a Bills fan. She just doesn't want to admit it.
I was gonna say I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that they're taking Burrow at this point. So yeah, you can root for that, and then when the Bills are on the clock, you can see.
I would love for them to trade up and take Chase Young, but
that's awesome.
I'd give up every single draft pick for him. There's no doubt.
Awesome. Well, thanks for playing along with that, guys. Last few minutes here, I do want to sort of get to the question. I had it down as something we could talk about potentially on Tuesday. I didn't have time to get to it, which is fine. But I wanted to sort of push it to today and just ask each of you guys to put your sort of Akron admissions hat on. And if you had to make a pitch to someone looking at Akron, what would you tell them? What would you want them to know about the university and the city to try to get them to come there? Now, I know, Zach, for you, you've only obviously been here for a semester, so maybe you don't have as much as many stories or connections and stuff like that to go off of, but you can at least, from your experience of being recruited as you look to transfer, talk a little bit about that, reflect on that a little bit and what maybe drew you to Akron in general. But yeah, what would your guys pitch to somebody looking at the University of Akron be?
Go ahead, Nate.
Okay. I would say that Akron would be a place for someone who's ready to work. It's kind of a place where you're going to it's kind of like a get your hands dirty kind of place. It's rough around the edges, but I think I said this before, but it's like kind of one of those places where it grows on you. It's not the prettiest place in the world, kind of like a downtown Miami or anything, but it has its beauty, I guess, in its own way, where you work, it is a place where you will learn a lot about, your work ethic as a person. If you decide to come and play sports here, the campus is actually it's nice, even though, around it isn't, but no, yeah, I think Akron is a solid place where you can come and you're going to meet people that care about being here. And so if you don't want to be here, then I don't think that this would be a place for you. I think the people that are here are people who are invested into making this place, something, putting it on a map in some way, shape, or form, and trying to better it.
I'd have to say for me, I have to agree with what Nate said. It's definitely a place for hard workers. But when I first got here, or when I kind of took a visit, where I literally came and walked around the campus. But I really, really like the campus. I think we have a really nice campus. So yeah, I really like the campus.
I think for me, my main advice would be don't underestimate. I kind of goes along with what Mav and Nate said, but I think I personally was not expecting the campus to be as beautiful as it was. I visited in the spring around Springfest 3 years ago, I want to say. So I would say definitely if you're looking, you should go for it and just take the chance, because personally, when I first heard of Akron, Ohio, I was like, Northern Ohio. I had never been even north of Columbus since I'm from Cincinnati. I was like, well, I'm just going to try it. But I think also, too, the closeness of all of the athletes and everything, as we've mentioned before, is a big factor that helped me choose.
Yeah, I think that's a big one. Like the closeness of all the athletes is just being new. I know a lot of athletes, which is cool. But another thing, the campus is really pretty and it's getting better. They're always doing construction, I've noticed. And it's kind of nice with some things being not everything's right here. On campus, there's branches across town, which is really nice. Say if you have all your classes there, you never have to even go to campus and mess with parking or anything like that. You can just go and be with your people over there. So that's really nice. Other than that, it's just, so far it's been a great place to be, and I'm excited for 2 more years there.
Well, guys, thank you for joining us today on ZipsCast, episode number 6, I believe we've had now. I'm really excited that you guys have all been sticking with it, and have a great rest of your week, rest of your weekend. Get outside, do something, because you sounded like you were a little bit bored or something, but find something to do. I'm walking 4.5 miles a day. So, have a great weekend, and as always, go Zips.